And we're live. Welcome back to another Corona Geek. Here where we talk all about cross-platform app development using Corona SDK. I'm your host, Charles McKeever, and we are on a modified holiday schedule here. We're kind of showing up in between is everybody in their jammies, first of all? Is this...
No, sir.
That's not the
I got
jammy.
my
Full day of work ahead of me, my friend. Full day.
You got lots of work ahead of you. That's
yes.
that's always the problem with the end of the year is like either I keep saying every year, next year I'm taking the end of the year off, and it never happens. So anyway, so thanks for being here. I appreciate it. So last week we finished up our what we would call it our desktop top-down shooter game series. We had 11 videos in the playlist, which you can find at youtube.com/coronageek. There's the source code is available on any one of the show notes. So if you check the link in the description, you'll find the show notes. You can go over there, and the link to the source code is all available. But that whole discussion really started out with keyboard and mouse support, and then at the end we kind of dropped in controller support. Right? So now we want to do a twin stick shooter. And is it fair to say that this will be more focused on controllers right from the beginning? Is that what we're saying?
It is going to be focused on controllers right from the beginning. It's an interesting question. I wasn't ready for it. Let me think for a minute. I'll answer you.
Well, that's okay. We're gonna do the twin stick shooter series. We're gonna start it off, and we're not gonna have a Corona Geek next Monday. So I just want to say that right up front. Today's episode is going to be sort of an introduction to the topic and what we're going to do and what we're going to cover, and then next week a lot of the Corona crew, a lot of the Perk crew is going to be in Vegas for an all hands event. So we won't have an official Corona Geek hangout like we do every week, but you can watch social media and there will be lots of pictures and video clips and things like that I can capture along the way. So apparently some of the things that happen in Vegas won't stay in Vegas. So
We'll make sure we get the right things stay in Vegas. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
I gotta say, Charles.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go. So that's what we got going on. I did want to mention a few things from the blog before we get started. Last week we were so excited to kind of wrap things up with the top-down shooter series that I completely forgot to mention that there are some brand new things to play with over the holidays. So one of them is OS X is out of beta, is now officially, even though we don't use the 1.0, 2.0, dot release notation, it is officially out of beta and ready for production for prime time. So if you're interested in creating desktop applications, which that whole series that we did was a good primer for that, then you can do that with OS X. Win32 is hot on the heels, should be coming out soon, coming out of beta. There are some things that need to be, loose ends that need to be tied up before that, but we're hoping to get that out, probably the end of January, hopefully, of next year. So it's coming along pretty well. The other thing is that tvOS is now out of alpha. So if you were following along with that, kind of playing with it, it is now in beta, which essentially means if you're a brave soul, you can package up your app and submit it to the App Store when they reopen, of course. But that's out of alpha, now in beta, and there's also a new iCloud plugin. So before there were ways of storing data for iCloud, but we wanted to, with tvOS, we actually had to provide support for syncing between devices using iCloud, and now there is an official plugin for that, and you can. So basically, if you start your game on one device, then you can pick it up on another. And Rob's pinging me here on social media, so I'm gonna add him to the conversation. I forgot to send out the link to today's hangout. I was in a hurry, so apologize for that. If you're watching from the outside, like ding ding ding, tapping on the glass. As soon as you start talking about the twin stick shooter, I'll send out the email to everybody so they can.
Roger that.
Join us.
I'll cover the gap.
Yeah. So, but that's it. There's, like I said, there was those items that I wanted to mention. There's also a tutorial out there for using iCloud key value storage, which is kind of hot on the heels of the iCloud plugin bit. So if you're not familiar with iCloud, usage, and you want to kind of get into the sync of things, then that's a good place to go over and get started. There's also a tutorial on implementing cross-module functions and events, which, Ed, I know you've talked about here on the show before, but there's an official tutorial on that if you want to walk through it. And what else? There was one other thing, it seems like. Oh, and there was one other blog post on understanding random numbers in Corona. So I saw that there was a forum post on random numbers, and Rob's put together an official tutorial on that you can go through. So lots of great stuff on the blog. If you haven't already, go over to chronolabs.com/blog, check it out. And if you have your questions, post them in the forums. Hey, we got Steven, I think. Is that Steven? Hey, Steven. All right. Any other things that we want to announce before we go? Anybody on the panel got any announcements?
Nada.
Okay. All right. Well, Ed, if you want to take us into twin stick shooters, I will try to invite everybody behind the scenes.
Okay.